To be liable for the tort of negligence, the defendant's negligent conduct must be a substantial factor in causing the plaintiff's harm. But an intervening act occurring between the defendant's negligent conduct and the plaintiff's harm may relieve the defendant of tort liability if the act is determined to be a superseding cause of the plaintiff's harm. In the 1911 case Atlantic Coastline Railroad Company v. Daniels, the Court of Appeals of Georgia considered whether the plaintiff's own negligent conduct in operating his car was a superseding cause of his injuries. J.W. Daniels was driving his car, an early model whose engine could only be started with a crank, down a street in Savannah when he came to a set of railroad tracks. The tracks were owned and maintained by Atlantic Coastline Railroad Company. The tracks approached the street on a curve, and drivers couldn't see if a train was coming. Instead, drivers had to rely on a set of crossing bars operated by a towerman. As Daniels approached the tracks, he saw that the crossing bars were up, indicating that it was clear for him to pass. But while on the tracks, the towerman lowered the crossing bars, pinning Daniels' car on the tracks and causing him to stall in top gear. In a fury of panic, Daniels got out of his car and pushed it onto the third track as the train went dashing by him on the middle track. After the train passed, the towerman lifted the bars, allowing Daniels to drive off the tracks. Clearly shaken up, Daniels went to start his car, but had forgotten that he had stalled and that his car was still in top gear. As he turned the crank on his car, the engine kicked and the force threw him against the radiator, causing him to break several teeth and suffer severe injuries to his face. Subsequently, Daniels sued Atlantic in the City Court of Savannah for negligence, seeking damages for his injuries. In response, Atlantic filed a demurrer, or motion to dismiss, arguing that the towerman's negligent conduct in operating the crossing bars wasn't the proximate cause of Daniels' injuries. Rather, Atlantic argued that Daniels' injuries were caused by his own superseding act of cranking the car without exercising usual and ordinary precaution. The court disagreed and overruled the demurrer. Atlantic appealed to the Court of Appeals of Georgia.